Just another ordinary week then in the world of the Bald Explorer. Wait, didn't something happen this week? Oh yes, COVID-19. Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, and this is my quest for England, the quest so far, and what a week it has been. Oh my goodness, well I don't need to tell you that. Obviously, you've been following the news with open mouths, no doubt. But this is my chance to catch up with what I've been up to this week and what's coming up for you in the following weeks. So let's go and have a look at what we were doing earlier this week. And we started with a very windy week. In fact, it's been a week of Richard and Julia. It's almost like we're off daytime television. Yes, Richard and Julia, we've been out every day and we've been filming lots of different stuff. We started, as I say, on a windy walk on New Timber Hill on the way to Saddlescombe, just above Brighton on the South Downs. That was a right blowout, but we had a lovely sanctuary at Pycombe Church. Yeah, amazing church where you can have cups of coffee or teas or whatever and take sanctuary as you're passing on the South Downs Way. So that was really interesting and we enjoyed that. We've also been to another seaside town. This time we went to East Preston, which is a charming little town, and we were looking at the architecture because it was an interesting mix. I love looking at villages and towns and what have you. East Preston might be a village actually, but I love the architecture because you can see the different elements and time zones as different places get built. And of course, I love to try and guess, but I often get it wrong, and people come along and they correct me, which is absolutely fine and dandy, so I don't mind. We had sunshine this week. We really did have sunshine. It's been a mixed week for weather, but on the sunny day when it was actually not blowing a hoolie, there was no cloud in the sight, the lovely Julia and I decided we would just go and visit Lansing Beach. The news of coronavirus was out. We were all told that we had to self-isolate, that we had to keep a social distance. So we decided that what we would do is not go travelling. We weren't sure. Everything was all up in the air. So we just decided to go along the beach and have a slightly light-hearted day. So we were larking in Lansing. And it was lovely. We even managed to have ice creams, yeah, down at the lagoon there. So that was really nice. Of course, things in the week were getting more intense, and so Julia and I, on a really dull and nasty day, decided to have a chat beside her kitchen garden, realizing that we may have to grow our own food, or what were we going to do? Everything sounded really drastic. Of course, since then we've heard that the supermarkets are going to be supplied with food and that the local food producers will be out there doing their best. There isn't the huge urgency, but if we're all trapped in our houses, getting out into a garden or attending to a window box, growing something, will give us some solace. Julia's garden was in a bit of a state because she'd been pregnant and she'd had a baby, and so she hadn't been able to look after it in the way that she had intended to. So it became sort of second fiddle, or last fiddle really. There were quite a few other things that she was doing. But anyway, we had a chat about that, and we also had a chat about what we're going to be doing. We'd had some bad news with our trips. One of our Airbnbs had cancelled on us, which was a shame, but the trip next week still going ahead. Tell you about that in a moment. Because of this self-isolation and the social distancing, it still seems that we are allowed out, and if we're trapped within the four walls, getting into the countryside might be an escape for people. So we decided to go for a walk in the countryside. We were looking for some woodland to get out of the wind and enjoy some soup, which we took our little stove, camping stove, and we managed to find somewhere, but we got lost off the map. So we went back another day to see if we could do that, and we went into Stenning Woods. But I forgot my haversack, my rucksack, so everything was in my big box. In fact, this very box here that I have got next to me, And in the car, it's all very well keeping it nicely stashed, but I forgot the haversack to decant it to, so we could go romping off into the woods to find a nice spot and have a bit more of a lunch with sandwiches and make a cup of tea and all the usual. But not to worry, not to worry. We made a nice video, bit of larking about, and it was great to get the out and about buggy over the bumpy roots that we found in this wonderful woodland near Stenning that I'd never been before. So this week has been a great week with the lovely Julia, and we've sort of tried to lighten up what we're doing, and I do want to try and keep the videos coming along, but just try and perhaps, I know I'm not an expert on anything really. I'm a bit of a dunce, and it's great when the viewers, you lot, correct me or tip me in the right direction, which I really appreciate. I'm just an enthusiast. That's really, I'm the everyman. I like to go out and just explore, and I try to learn. I read loads of books when I've got the chance, but somehow it doesn't just sink into the old brain box. I don't know why. Anyway, coming up next week, we go to Ashington, the lovely Julia and I, on one of our continuing little series, the villages that have been bypassed by the A24, the Worthing to London road, near to us. We were charting these little villages on an ad hoc basis, and Ashington is next up on our list. We look for the old watermill, and we look for ancient, well, not ancient, that's the wrong word. I keep getting corrected if I use ancient, old buildings. So, and in Ashington, believe you me, it's not as easy as it might sound. I go out for some more woodland walks on my own. I found a lovely, fascinating walk where there is an inordinate amount of deer footprints. But did I see any deer? You'll have to wait and see for that. A couple of interesting ones, plus one as a sort of a bit of a guide to those people who might be going into the countryside for the very first time. There'll be a lot of people who's at home, destined to stay at home now because perhaps they've lost their job or their hours have been reduced, or they're having to self-isolate or keeping a social distance. The places they used to go to, like the pubs, the clubs, the gym, they can't do, and they might be wondering, what the hell can I do? Well, the countryside is still there and the footpaths are there, and I've sort of put together a very vague little guide with a bit of the country code thrown in. So that's worth having a look at. That's coming up next week. Now, we do have a trip, and let me tell you that the lovely Julia and I and little Joseph are going to be away Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday the following week. So this goes out on Sunday, so it's tomorrow. And we are in Hampshire, not a million miles from our Sussex base, of course, but we're looking at the hangers. I've always wanted to go around and have a look at the hangers. They're the hills in Hampshire. The zigzag path near Gilbert White's house in Selborne, that's supposed to be quite steep and interesting and worth a go. And also some of the ancient trackways in Wessex. We've only got 3 days and we're going to try and make the best of it. We've got little Joseph with us, who of course will come first. We're hoping that we don't really see very many people because we've all got to keep our distance and what have you. So what would be better? But at least the Airbnb, at the state of recording now, hasn't cancelled on us, and I've checked that it seems to be okay. So fingers crossed that will happen. Now it will mean I've got videos to cover it, but we may not be able to do Vobes shows and other bits and pieces that I tend to do, because I'm going to be away from home and I don't know what the 4G is like, so that might be a bit awkward. The other thing to say is, those people who don't know, I do something called the Vobes show, which is an interaction show, a live show on YouTube. Now, I do have a Facebook page, also the Vobes show, but basically I'll put in the description where it is. And apart from Monday, Tuesday, I won't be doing shows. I'm hoping that I'll be back on Wednesday to continue them. I also probably do one Sunday night, and then until I go away next, at the moment doing them every day whilst people get used to the shock horror being on their own. It's just a way of, we set the tone of the conversation, interact using live chat and I talk. Where possible, We'll get guests. We're hoping to have a telephone line put in so you can actually call in and we can hear your stories. That will be fantastic. But that's it for the Sunday chat. Thanks for tuning in. Keep an eye on the group, because if you need help or anything, do let us know. It is a network of people and we can try our best to help one another and keep our spirits up in this very strange times that we're all living through. But have a great day, whatever you're up to, and try and keep calm. And I'll see you on another Bold Explorer video very soon. Till the next time, bye-bye.